$340. That's what one Australian driver was charged for a routine capped price service. The exact same job a rural independent mechanic said he could do profitably for $170. Same car, same job, double the money. And here's the sharpest part. It wasn't a mistake. It was the cap working exactly as designed, for the dealer, not for you. A West Australian car brand got caught telling customers their capped price servicing was the maximum you will pay, while quietly charging above that cap anyway. The consumer watchdog stepped in, forced the brand to rewrite its terms, write to every affected customer, and hand back refunds. That's not a rumor from a forum. That's a confirmed, documented enforcement outcome. That's not an outlier. That's the documented reality of car servicing in this country right now. After that case, the regulator said publicly it would be looking at other manufacturers to see if the same thing was happening elsewhere. And industry insiders, the people who actually work on cars for a living, have said plainly that these capped price plans were never really built to save you money. They were built to keep you walking back through the dealership door. Today, I am counting down 7 hidden servicing charges Australian dealers slip into your invoice, ranked from bad to absolutely brutal. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which line items to question before you sign anything, which extras are quietly built into the price of the car itself, and why the word capped doesn't mean what you think it means. Number 1 on this list is the one that made the regulator step in. And it's still happening today, mate, just with better paperwork. I get asked about this constantly in the comments, and if you've watched my last video on dealer delivery fees, you already know these blokes are creative when it comes to finding new spots to hide a charge. I spent years as an auction house valuer, standing next to cars while buyers argued over every scratch and every service stamp in the logbook, because those stamps are what decide whether a car is worth top dollar or gets picked apart at auction. I've seen what a genuinely maintained car is worth, and I've seen what a capped price serviced car with half the logbook missing is actually worth. And trust me, buyers notice the difference before sellers do. So I lean on consumer watchdog rulings, VFAX data, and real invoices owners send me, not dealership brochures. If that's useful to you, stick around. I do this every week, and it costs you nothing but a subscribe. Coming in at number 7, wiper blades. Sounds small, I know, but stick with me. Most capped price plans exclude wiper blades entirely, so at almost every single visit, dealers add them on at full retail markup, whether you actually need new blades or not. It's a few dollars here, a few dollars there. Would you sign off on that if someone said it out loud before you handed over your keys? I wouldn't. Up next, number 6, the brake fluid flush. Several manufacturers openly admit in their own paperwork that brake fluid and radiator flushes sit outside the capped price, usually landing every 2 years, regardless of how far you've actually driven. It's real work, don't get me wrong. But it's marketed as part of the cap, right up until the invoice tells you otherwise. Number 5 is close cousin to that one, the coolant and radiator flush. Same story. It's sitting right there in your logbook schedule, and it's routinely carved out of the advertised price. 2 line items, same trick, twice the sting. Number 4 is where it gets a bit more personal, wheel alignment and rotation, dressed up as optional. Some owners have reported dealers simply won't rotate your wheels at all unless you pay extra for the privilege, even though it's sitting in the manufacturer's own recommended schedule. In plain Australian terms, that's a logbook job being sold back to you as a favor. Quick favor before we hit the top 3. If this is genuinely useful, give the like button a tap. The top 3 picks are where the real money disappears, and I want the algorithm to push this video out to as many Aussies as possible before they sign anything. Cheers. On we go. Number 3. Extra work required. This is the classic move, and every mechanic reading this knows exactly what I mean. The tech finds something during the service that's technically not covered by the cap, and suddenly there's an entirely new invoice line sitting next to the capped one. Tires, aftermarket repairs, crash-related fixes, even normal wear and tear items like brake pads, all confirmed exclusions, all landing outside what you thought you'd already paid for. Number 2 is the one that genuinely gets under my skin. The assumption that capped price means full manufacturer logbook servicing. In most cases, mate, it simply doesn't. Owners are paying for what they believe is a complete service to factory specification when parts of that schedule have quietly been dropped. Let me put that in plain language. You're not paying less for the same job. You're paying the same money for less job. And topping the list at number 1, dealers charging the full capped price on every single visit, no matter how little actual work gets done. At the brand level, this is exactly the behavior the consumer watchdog court enforced a public correction on a company advertising a maximum price while quietly charging above it, then having to refund customers nationwide. That's not speculation. That's an enforcement outcome with your name on it if you bought that car. At the product level, remember that $340 service against the $170 quote from earlier? That's not a one-off. Industry voices have said outright that the cost of these servicing plans can be built straight into the purchase price of the car, meaning free or capped servicing was never free. You prepaid for it the day you signed the finance contract, and you didn't even know it. On the regulatory side, the watchdog didn't just slap one brand on the wrist and move on. It said publicly it intends to review other manufacturers' capped price offers too, because this looks like a pattern across the industry, not a single bad actor. And on the support side, with more than 10,000 licensed dealers operating across this country, every single one of them running some version of this same capped price structure, this isn't a fringe problem. It's the default business model. 4 layers, 1 image, a cap that isn't really a maximum, a price that's already baked into your loan, a regulator circling the whole industry, and 10,000 rooftops all running the same play. That's not customer protection. That's a guaranteed minimum profit wearing a customer protection costume. Here's your action step, right now, today. Before you sign anything, ask the dealer for the exact written list of what is and isn't included under the cap, and compare it line by line against the manufacturer's own logbook schedule. You are now the informed buyer who knows something most Australians walking into a showroom today do not. So there they are. Wiper blades quietly added every visit. Brake fluid flushes sitting outside the cap. Radiator flushes, same trick twice. Wheel alignment sold back as optional. Extra work invented mid-service. A cap that isn't the full logbook, and a full price charged for a fraction of the work. My honest takeaway, and it's the same one I always give, none of these individually make a dealership evil. Plenty of technicians are just doing their job. But informed buyers always win in this industry, every single time, because Australian consumer law already gives you the right to ask for an itemized breakdown before you pay a cent. Ask for it in writing. Compare it to the logbook. Walk away if the numbers don't line up, because the math simply doesn't work when a cap costs more than the job. Are you sitting on a service invoice right now wondering why the wiper blades cost more than they should? Have you ever been told your wheel rotation was optional when you know it's sitting in the logbook? Or worse, did you find out after the fact that your capped price plan never actually covered the full manufacturer schedule? Drop your stories in the comments. The honest ones, the painful ones, the I should have read the fine print ones. All welcome. If this helped, give it a like. Hit subscribe for more straight shooting Aussie car advice, and I'll see you in the next one. Drive safe, and remember, a cap is only a cap if somebody's actually watching the ceiling.